Hello everybody and welcome to Pinball Storytellers. This is episode number 3 if I'm correct. Yes, it is episode number 3 and Justin is back so we can continue on with our show. Justin, your camera died. FYI.
What?
Yes, your camera on Zoom died. Can you see that or is it working for you?
Let me bring back Zoom. I minimized it.
Yep, okay, and we're here. So
That was strange.
I'm here with my lovely partner, Justin Foster, and we're here to tell you some stories. So, we'll talk a bit about it. We both of us have a story today and a different format. So I talked to you guys about formats before, and we're gonna start with a story in the first format, the co-op storytelling. So both of us are gonna be playing two characters in the story. We know the story beforehand, and we'll try and tell it to you guys in our own terms. Okay, so how do you want to start? I think that this story is best if we tell the actual name and author of it at the end. What do you think?
I think that's fair.
Okay, good. Do you want to start?
Given our audience, it's possible that some of them have read it, so you want to be like, surprise.
Exactly. That's my idea.
So we're probably gonna make a few decisions as we go along, chat. It's part of the process, but we're gonna start out just by reading the introduction. We're gonna alternate paragraphs, and we'll see what happens.
Exactly. Okay, so in the great court, which stands as the patch of untouched peace among the 50 busy square miles devoted to the towering buildings that are the pulse beat of the united words of the galaxy, stands a statue.
How do you pronounce her name, actually? Norman and Louie?
Louie. I think it's Louie.
I think it is Louie. Norman and Lily were late, naturally, since catching a train is always a matter of last-minute delays, so they had to take the only available seat in the coach. It was the one toward the front, the one with nothing before it but the seat that faced the wrong way, with its back hard against the front partition. While Norman heaved the suitcase onto the rack, Louie found herself chafing a little.
If a couple took a wrong-way seat before them, they would be staring self-consciously into each other's faces all the hours it would take to reach New York. Or else, which was scarcely better, they would have to erect synthetic barriers of newspaper. Still, there was no use in taking a chance on there being another unoccupied double seat elsewhere in the train.
Norman didn't seem to mind, and that was a little disappointing to Louie. Usually they held their moods in common. That, Norman claimed, was why he remained sure that he had married the right girl.
Okay, so this is the point where we decide who plays which character. We have currently two characters, the main characters, Norman and Louie. Do you wanna choose a character? Are you interested in playing either of them?
Oh no, we shouldn't choose things. We
No,
should roll.
choose one, and if you roll higher than me on a d20, you get to play him.
Alright, that's fair. In that case, I will take Lily. Or Louie.
Louie. Okay, let's throw that 1d20 and here and let's see. Oh, I think you're playing Louie.
Yay! I get to be the girl again.
You get to be the girl again. So.
And I don't have to pronounce my own name, which is why I went for the girl.
We sitting down in this train. Let's find some good mood music for this.
Some good train music.
Yeah, I think Los Angeles kind of goes with it.
Choo-choo. Wait. 1 second.
Okay. I am waiting. Let's see what surprise Justin has in store for us. Okay, what's happening? Awesome. Okay, so turn this music down a bit, and I look at Louie with a contempt smile on my face. I say, "We fit each other, Louie, and that's the key fact. When you're doing a jigsaw puzzle and one piece feeds the other, that's it. There's no other possibilities, and of course, there are no other girls." I smile warmly at her.
If you hadn't been on the streetcar that day, you would probably never have met me. What would you have done then?
Stayed a bachelor, naturally. Besides, I would have met you through Georgette another day.
It wouldn't have been the same.
Sure it would.
No, it wouldn't. Besides, Georgette could never have introduced me. She was interested in you herself, and she's the type who knows better than to create a possible rival.
Ah, what nonsense.
This is Lily's favorite question. Norman, what if you'd been 1 minute later at the streetcar corner and had taken the next car? What do you suppose would have happened?
And what if fish had wings and all of them flew to the top of the mountains? What if we had to eat on Fridays then?
We should skip that, because it doesn't really...
Yeah, they'll go on. It is after I spoke, it's your turn to basically go on.
I wish we could have found some other seat.
Ah, sure. So do I. But no one has taken it yet, so we have relative privacy as far as Providence anyway.
So let's see. So at this point, Livy is very unhappy as she sees a plump little man walk down the central aisle of the coach. And she thinks to herself, it's very strange that there's a plump little man walking down the central aisle of the coach. The train was halfway between Boston and Providence, and if he had had a seat, why hadn't he kept it? She takes out her vanity, she powders her nose.
Go on. I mean, it's still your cue right here.
And she thinks to herself about her little mouth, plump lips, which her husband always says looks like a permanent kiss. And she thinks to herself, not bad. And then she looks up, and the little man is sitting in the opposite seat. Just what she'd been afraid of. He takes off his hat, sets it beside him. A circle of white hair instantly sprang up, stiffly about a large ball set that made the center of the skull a desert. She smiled back a little, and she looks at his box, and her smile fades, and she jerks on Norman's elbow. Hey!
Huh?
Hey!
Huh? Woke up for my newspaper. What's up? I'm just staring at her, not even looking anywhere else.
She just sort of nods. She nods at the box.
What? What's happening?
Don't you see what's printed on his box?
Huh? It was not very prominent, but Norma saw it. In the light, it caught slantingly, and it was slightly more glistening area on the black background. Its flowing script said, "What if?" The man was smiling again. He nodded his head rapidly and pointed to the words and then to himself several times over. Must be his name, darling.
Oh, how could that be anybody's name?
Put my newspaper aside. I show you, Mr. F? The little man looked at him eagerly. Do you have the time, Mr. F? The little man took out a large watch from his vest pocket and displayed the dial. Thank you, Mr. F. See, oui.
He would have returned to his paper, but the little man was opening his box and raising a finger periodically as he did so, to enforce their attention. It was just a slab of frosted glass that he removed, about 6 by 9 inches in length and width and perhaps an inch thick. It had beveled edges, rounded corners, and was completely featureless. Then he took out a little wire stand in which the glass slab fitted comfortably. He rested the combination on his knees and looked proudly at them. Heavens, Norman, it's a picture of some sort!
Huh? No, I bent closer and looked at her. What's this? A new kind of television?
No, Norman, it's us.
What?
Don't you see? That's the streetcar we met on. There you are in the back seat, wearing that old fedora I threw away 3 years ago. And that's Georgette and myself getting on. The fat lady's in the way! Now, can't you see us?
Oh, it's some sort of illusion, I'm sure of it.
But you see it too, don't you? That's why he calls this what if. It will show us what if. What if that streetcar hadn't swerved?
She was sure of it. She was very excited and very sure of it. As she looked at the picture in the grass slab, the late afternoon sunshine grew dimmer, and the innate chatter of the passengers around and behind her began fading.
How she remembered that day. Norman knew Georgette and had been about to surrender his seat to her when the car swerved and threw Louis into his lap. It was such a ridiculously corny situation, but it had worked. She had been so embarrassed that he was forced first into gallantry and then into conversation. An introduction from Georgette was not even necessary. By the time they got off the streetcar, he knew where she worked.
She could still remember Georgette glowing at her, sulky, forcing a smile when they themselves separated, and Georgette saying, "Norman likes you."
Oh, don't be silly. He was just being polite. But he is nice looking, isn't he?
It was only 6 months after that they married.
And now here was that same streetcar again, with Norman and herself and Georgette. As she thought that, the smooth train noises, the rapid clack-clack of the wheels vanished completely. Instead, she was in the swaying confines of the streetcar. She had just boarded it with Georgette at the previous stop.
Louis shifted weight, and with the swaying of the streetcar, as did 40 others, sitting and standing, all to the same monotonous and rather ridiculous rhythm. She said,
Somebody's motioning at you, Georgette. Do you know him?
"Ah, me?" Georgia directed a deliberately casual glance over her shoulder. Her artificially long eyelashes flickered. "Oh, I know him, Orlo. What do you suppose he wants?"
Let's find out!
Georgette had a well-known habit of holding her male acquaintances, and it was rather fun to annoy her this way, and besides, this one seemed quite interesting.
She snaked past the line of the standees, and Georgette followed without enthusiasm. It was just as Livy arrived opposite the young man's seat that the streetcar lurched heavily as it rounded a curve. Lily snatched desperately in the direction of the straps. Her fingertips caught, and she held on. It was a long moment before she could breathe. For some reason, it had seemed that there were no straps close enough to be reached. Somehow, she felt that by all the laws of nature, she should have fallen.
The young man did not look at her. He was smiling at Georgette and rising from his seat. He had astonishing eyebrows that gave him a rather competent and self-confident appearance. Lily decided that she definitely liked him. Georgette was saying, "Oh no, don't bother. We're getting off in about 2 stops.
I thought we were going to Saks.
We are. This is something I remember having to tend to here. It won't take but a minute."
Next stop, Providence.
The loudspeakers were blaring. The train was slowing, and the world of the past had shrunk itself into the glass slab once more. The little man was smiling at them. Were you through all that too? I say to Norman.
What happened to the time? We can't be reaching Providence yet. I guess we are. You didn't fall that time.
Then you did see it. Now that's like Georgette. I'm sure there was no reason to get off the streetcar except to prevent my meeting you. How long had you known Georgette before then, Norman?
Not very long. Just enough to be able to recognize her at sight and to feel that I ought to offer her my seat. You can't be jealous of might have been, kid. Besides, what difference would I have made? I still have been sufficiently interested in you, and work out a way of meeting you.
You didn't even look at me.
Ah, hardly had a chance.
Then how would you have met me?
Some way. I don't know, but you admit this is rather foolish argument we're having.
They were leaving Providence. Lily felt a trouble in her mind. The little man had been following their whisper conversation with only the loss of his smile to show that he understood. Can you show us more?
Wait now, Willie. What are you going to try and do?
I want to see our wedding day. What would it have been if I had caught the strap?
Now that's not fair. We might not have been married on the same day, you know.
Can you show it to me, Mr. If?
And the little man nodded.
The slab of gas was coming alive again, glowing a little. Then the light collected and condensed into figures. A tiny sound of organ music was in Lily's ears, without there actually being sound.
Well, there am I. That's our wedding. Are you satisfied?
And the train sounds were disappearing again, and the last thing Lily heard was her own voice saying, "Yes, there you are. But where am I?"
Lily was well back in the pews. For a while, she had not expected to attend at all. In the past months, she had drifted further and further away from Georgette, without quite knowing why. She had heard of her engagement only through a mutual friend, and of course, it was to Norman. She remembered very clearly that day, 6 months before, when she had first seen him on a streetcar.
It was the time Georgette had so quickly snatched her out of sight. She had met him since on several occasions, but each time Georgette was with him, standing between.
Well, she had no cause for resentment. The man was certainly none of hers. Georgette, she thought, looked more beautiful than she really was, and he was very handsome indeed.
She felt sad and rather empty, as though something had gone wrong, something that she could not quite outline in her mind. Georgette had moved up the aisle without seeming to see her, but earlier she had caught his eyes and smiled at him. Lily thought that she had smiled in return. She heard the words distantly as they drifted back to her. "I now pronounce you..."
The noise of the train was back. A woman swayed down the aisle, herding a little boy back to the seats. There were intermittent bursts of girlish laughter from the set of 4 teenager girls halfway down the coach. A conductor hurried past on some mysterious errand.
Lily was frozenly aware of it all.
She sat there, staring straight ahead, while the trees outside blended into a fuzzy, furious green, and telephone poles galloped past.
It was she you married.
I didn't really, Olivia. You're still my wife, you know. Just think about it a few minutes.
Yes, you married me because I fell in your lap. If I hadn't, you would have married Georgette. If she hadn't wanted you would have married someone else. You would have married anybody. So much for your jigsaw puzzle pieces.
Well, I'll be darned. He put both hands to his head and smoothed down the straight hair over his ears, where it had a tendency to turf up. Now look here, Lily. You're making a silly fuss over a stupid magician's trick. You can't blame me for something I haven't done.
You would have done it.
How do you know?
You've seen it.
I've seen a ridiculous piece of would-be hypnotism, I suppose. Off with you, Mr. F, or whatever your name is. Get out of here. We don't want you. Get out before I throw your little trick out of the window and you after it.
Stop it! Stop it! You're in a crowded train!
The little man shrank back into the corner of the seat as far as he could go and held his little black bag behind him. He turned pink and bit back a pungent remark. They rode frozen silence to go to and through New London. 15 minutes past New London, Norman said to Lily. Lily! Lily! Answer me!
What do you want?
Look, this is all nonsense. I don't know how the fellow does it, but even granting it's legitimate, you're not being fair. Why stop where you did? Suppose I had married Georgette. Do you suppose you would have stayed single? For all I know, you would have married at the time of my supposed wedding. Maybe that's why I married Georgette.
I wasn't married.
How do you know?
I would have been able to tell. I knew what my own thoughts were.
Then you'd have been married within the next year.
And if I did, it would be no business of yours, certainly.
Of course it wouldn't, but it would make the point that in a world of reality we can't be held responsible for the what-ifs. Look, you remember the the New Year's celebration at Winnie's place before last?
I certainly do. You spilled a keg of alcohol all over me.
That's besides the point. And besides, it was only a cocktail shaker's worth. What if I'm trying to say is that Winnie is just about your best friend, and he had been long before you married me.
What of it?
Georgette was a good friend of hers too, wasn't she?
Yes.
Alright then, you and Georgette would have gone to the party regardless of which one I had married. I would have had nothing to do with it. Let him show us the party, as if we would have been if I had married Georgette, and I bet you'd be there with either your fiancé or your husband.
Lily hesitated. She felt honestly afraid of just that.
Are you afraid to take the chance?
No, I'm not. And I hope I am married. There's no reason I should pine for you. What's more, I'd like to see what happens when you spill the shaker all over Georgette. She'll fill both your ears for you and in public too. I know her. Maybe you'll see a certain difference in the jigsaw's pieces then.
Norman looked across at the little man, and there was no need to say anything. The glass slab was on his lap already. The sun slanted in from the west, and then white film of hair that topped his head was edged with pink. Ready? Happy New Year's. Let's see. I lost my track.
She answered the shouts that greeted her with Happy New Year's of her own, raising her voice to make herself heard over the squealing of the radio. Georgette's shrill tones were almost the first thing she heard upon entering, and now she steered toward her. She hadn't seen Georgette, or Norman, in weeks.
Georgette lifted an eyebrow, a mannerism she had lately cultivated, and said, "Oh, isn't that you, Olivia?" Her eyes swept to the immediate surroundings and then returned to Willie.
I think Dick will be around later. There was something or other he had to do first.
Well, Norman's here. Yeah, ought to keep you from being lonely, dear.
And as she said so, Norman sauntered in from the kitchen. He had a cocktail shaker in his hand, and the rattling of ice cubes castanetted his words.
Line up, you writing lovers, and get a mixture of the real level you're... why, Willie?
He walked toward her, grinning his welcome.
Well, you've been keeping yourself. I haven't seen you in 20 years, seems like. What's the matter? Doesn't Dink want anyone else to see you? Fill my glass, said Georgette sharply. Right away, he said, not looking at her. Do you want one too, Willie? I'll get you a glass. He turned, and everything happened at once.
Watch out!
She saw it
coming. He even had a vague feeling that all this had happened before, but it played itself out inexorably. His heel caught the edge of the carpet. He lurched, tried to right himself, and lost the cocktail shaker. It seemed to jump out of his hands, and a pint of ice-cold liquid drenched Louis from shoulder to hem.
Damnation! Too bad, Louis. Just one of those things. I imagine that dress can't be that expensive.
Lily turned and ran. She was in the bedroom, which was at least empty and relatively quiet. By the light of the fringe-shaded lamp on the dresser, she poked among the coats on the bed, looking for her own.
Norman had come in behind her. Look, Louis, don't pay attention to what she said. I'm really devilishly sorry. I'll pay...
That's alright. It wasn't your fault. I'll just go home and change.
Are you coming back?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Look, Willie. His warm fingers were on her shoulder.
Lily felt a queer tearing sensation deep inside her, as though she were ripping away from clinging cobwebs, and
the train noises were back.
Something did go wrong with the time when she was in there, in the slab. It was deep twilight now. The train lights were on, but it didn't matter. She seemed to be recovering from the wrench inside her.
What happened?
It just ended. Suddenly.
You know, we'll be putting in New Haven soon.
You spilled it on me.
Well, so I did in real life.
But in real life, I was your wife. You ought to have spilled it on Georgette this time. Isn't that queer?
But she was thinking of Norman pursuing her, his hands on her shoulders. She looked up at him and said with warm satisfaction,
Been married.
No, you weren't. But that Dick Reinhardt you were going out around with?
Yes.
You weren't planning to marry him, were you, Willie?
Jealous, Norman?
Of that? Of a slab of grass? Oh, of course not.
I don't think I would have married him.
You know, I wish it had ended when it did. There was something that was about to happen, I think. It was, though I would rather have done it to anybody else in the room.
Even to Georgette.
I was giving two thoughts of Georgette. You don't believe me, I suppose.
Maybe I do. I've been silly, Norman. Let's have our real life. Let's not play with all the things that might have been.
No, Willie. One last time. Let's see what would have been doing right now, Willie. This very minute, if I had married Georgette.
Let's not, Norman.
She was thinking of his eyes, smiling hungrily at her as he held the shaker, while Georgette stood beside her, unregarded. She didn't want to know what happened afterward. She wanted this life now, the good life.
New Haven came and went. I want to try, Willie.
If you want to, Norman.
She decided fiercely that it didn't matter. Nothing would matter. Her hands reached out and encircled his arm. She held it tightly, and while she held it, she thought,
Nothing in the make-believe can take me from him.
I turned around to the little man and said, set him up again.
In the yellow light, the process seemed to be slower. Gently, the frosted slab cleared, like clouds being torn apart and dispersed by an unfelt wind.
There's something wrong. That's the two of us. Exactly as well now.
He was right. Two little figures were sitting in a train on the seats which were farthest toward the front. The field was enlarging. Now they were merging into it. Norman's voice was distant and fading.
It's the same train. The window is back and it's just cracked just as...
I wish we were in New York.
It will be less than an hour, darling. I'm going to kiss you.
Not here. Oh, Norman, people are looking.
We should have taken a taxi.
From Boston to New York?
Sure, the privacy would have been worth it.
You're funny when you try to act, Arden.
It isn't an act. It's not just an hour, you know. I feel like I've been waiting for 5 years.
I do too.
Why couldn't I met you first? It's such a waste.
Poor Georgette.
Ah, don't be sorry for her, Willie. We never really made a go of it. She was glad to get rid of me.
I know that. That's why I say poor Georgette. I'm just sorry for her not being able to appreciate what she had.
Well, see to that you do. See that you're immensely appreciative and infinitely appreciative, or more than that. See that you're at least as half as appreciative as I am of what I've got.
Or else you'll divorce me too.
Over my dead body.
It's all so strange. I keep thinking, what if you hadn't spilled the cocktails on me that time at the party? You wouldn't have followed me out. You wouldn't have told me. I wouldn't have known. It would have been so different. Everything.
Nonsense. I would have been just the same. It would have all happened another time.
I wonder.
Train noises merged into train noises. City lights flickered outside, and the atmosphere of New York was about them. The coach was astir with travelers dividing the baggage among themselves.
Lily was an island in the turmoil until Norman shook her.
The jigsaw pieces fit after all.
Yes.
But it wasn't good just the same. I was very wrong. I thought because we had each other we should have all the possible each others. But all the possibles are none of our business. The real is enough. Do you know what I mean?
He nodded.
There are millions of other what-ifs. I don't want to know what happened in any of them. I'll never say what-if again.
Relax, dear. Here's your coat. And he reached for the suitcases.
Where's Mr. If?
Turned slowly to the empty seat that faced us. Together they scanned the rest of the coach. Maybe he went into the next coach.
But why? Besides, he wouldn't leave his hat.
What
She bends to
hat?
pick it up. And Lily stopped her fingers hovering over nothingness.
It was here. I almost touched it. Oh, Norman, what if...
Norman put a finger on her mouth. Oh, on her mouth. Darling.
I'm sorry. Here, let me help you with the suitcases.
The train dived into a tunnel beneath Park Avenue, and the noises of the wheels rose to a roar. And that was it for Isaac Asimov's What If. Okay, that was the format of co-op storytelling. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The overall purpose was to just give you guys the message that Isaac Asimov wanted to say with this wonderful story, and do it in our own personal way. Okay, so what do you think of the story I've prepared, Justin?
I liked it. I've actually read that story before. I've read most of Asimov's shorts, which is quite impressive because there's a lot of them. For those of you who don't know, Isaac Asimov was an incredibly prolific author. He would write multiple books per year. He has over 400 fiction books and almost twice as many non-fiction books. He's actually the only author to have a book in every single category of the Dewey Decimal System.
Oh, awesome.
I kid you not. There was a joke
Awesome.
that he would type one book at a time on 2 different typewriters, like one hand on each one. And it's funny, but it also wasn't a joke. He would actually do that.
That is quite a feat. So, what do you have prepared for me?
So I have a short story. I won't give out the title.
What format are we using on this one?
So I think we're gonna go with the format of I'm gonna tell you some stuff about your character.
So DMing a story, basically. I
Yeah,
don't know
DMing
the...
a story.
Okay, so
And
I don't know
I'll,
the story.
I'll put you in the world, and we'll see if we can go out. It's gonna be it's like not a really long story. It's only like a few pages, but it's gonna be challenging, I think, to do. And we'll just
Good.
see how it works out. This whole show is about experimentation, so if
Awesome.
it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Do you have a general theme for it? Like some background music I can add?
Let's start out with some desert music. Do you have like something that's from like I don't
Yes.
know, Arizona or Colorado?
We have an interesting The Desert Awaits music. I think that works.
Okay.
Okay, good. So shoot, Justin.
So your name is Hugh Talent,
Hugh Talent. Okay.
and you're in a desert, and I'm gonna the first few paragraphs of the story, but we'll start out with this. You're in a desert, and you're sort of a deserter / spy from the American military, and you're spying on the a glider research facility.
Interesting.
And you're just sort of retired in the desert, let's say. There was no path, only the most vertical ascent. Crumbled rock for a few yards, with the roots of sage finding their scanty life in the dry soil. Then jagged outcroppings of crude crags, sometimes with accidental footholds, sometimes with overhanging and untrustworthy branches of greasewood, sometimes with no aid to climbing but the leverage of your muscles and the ingenuity of your balance. The sage was as drably green as the rock was drably brown. The only color was the occasional rosy spikes of a barrel cactus. Hugh Talent swung himself up onto the last pinnacle. It had a deliberate, shaped look about it, a petrified fortress of Lilliputians, a Gibraltar of pygmies. Talent perched on its battlements and unslung his field glasses. And as you look around, the desert valley spread below him. The tiny cluster of buildings that was Oasis, the exiguous cluster of palms that gave name to the town and shelter to his own tent and to the shack he was building. The dead-ended highway leading straightforwardly to nothing. The oiled roads diagramming the vacant blocks of an optimistic subdivision. But of course, Talent paid attention to none of these. His glasses were fixed beyond the Oasis and the town of Oasis and on the dry lake. The gliders were clear and vivid to him, and the uniformed men busy with them were as sharply and minutely visible as a nest of ants under glass. The training school was more than usually active. One glider in particular, strange to Talent, seemed the focus of attention. Men would come and examine it and glance back at the older models in comparison. And then, out of the corner of your eye, not preoccupied with the glider, in that corner, something moved. Something little and thin and brown as the earth. Too large for a rabbit. Much too small for a man.
Do I get to interact now?
Yes, now you get to interact.
Okay, so something behind me. Do you wanna roll some stats for my character, or do you just wanna do narrative mode on this?
You can do stats.
Okay, good.
I think stats would actually be interesting.
If we just look down the line, assign the highest one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we start with a. Oh, we have a 5. So I definitely say that as a spy, am I the guy that is more charismatic or perceptive as a spy? Which kind of spy am I?
I think you're probably more perceptive than charismatic.
Okay, good. So I'm not that charismatic. I'm gonna go with 15 on perception. Oh, I should actually roll another one for perception. Well, for the one that goes in strength, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's write those down. So we have strength, dex, con, wisdom, and charisma. So strength would be a 13 because we swapped that with perception. We have a dexterity of 11, a constitution of 14, a wisdom of 5. That is not something a spy would have, but still. Well, I'm pretty intelligent. I have an 11 and a charisma 7. Not very good in my people skills. Okay, so I will attempt to see what was the creature or the thing that I saw with the corner of my eye.
Roll a perception check.
Let's do that. Would you say I would get a proficiency bonus to this?
Oh yeah, I'd say you're training perception. That's reasonable.
Okay, I think a +5 is okay. No, I did not see anything.
Nothing stirred. Nothing stood out against the sage and rock, but one barrel of rosy spikes.
So this is me. Where am I right now? Again?
You're on top of a like a pinnacle in a desert.
Okay.
So if you've ever been into a desert, they have rock formations, some of which for some they're basically harder rock that was mixed in with older rock. So as erosion happened, that happened unevenly. So you have these huge spires of rock that just stand up in the middle of the sand, like they don't even belong there.
So
and you're on top of one.
I will climb down and attempt to go to the location where I saw this thing. See if I can find anything there.
I mean, the motion was in the corner of your eye. It seemed like it was right next to you.
Oh, okay, I understand.
And then you look around and you don't see anything.
Okay, what's my purpose for being here?
You're spying on the glider school. Or the glider training facility.
Okay, interesting. So do I see the glider facility in front of me? How far am I from it?
You're probably 2 or 3 miles, but you have field glasses or binoculars. You notice one new model. You notice the people are commenting on the new model and like gesturing back and forth with the pilot, like maybe comparing it to the old model.
Interesting.
That they are all using.
I'll try and get closer. Maybe hear what they have to say.
You're gonna climb down and go like walk the several miles to the thing.
Oh, several. Oh, yeah, you did mention several miles. Yes, you're right. Well, my purpose here is spying, so I guess that I wouldn't be in time there for the conversation, so I'll just take some pictures. Do I have something?
You don't have a camera. You have like a notebook that you make notes in, and drawings.
Do I have any knowledge, or because I've spied on these stuff for a bit, do I have any knowledge of the previous glider? Have I seen it fly before?
Oh yeah, you're familiar with it.
Okay,
you have diagrams in your notebook. You could maybe, if you look very closely, you could maybe compare the differences.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. So, do you want me to give you another perception check?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna try and compare the two gliders, see if I can figure out something. 18,
Oh
that's
yeah.
decent.
So you notice that there's a difference in like the control mechanism. There's some difference in the ailerons on the tail. It seems like they would be able to have better control without compromising the lift capability. So it could glide for a significantly longer period of time. It seems like it's slightly thinner. Maybe it's lighter, which probably means it's made out of some sort of stronger material. You could speculate about what, but you're not entirely sure. But it's definitely a significant technological improvement over anything you've seen before.
I will definitely write all this down in my notebook.
Okay.
Do I report back to somebody? Is there a guy that I give this stuff to, or is it just...
You're kind of more of a freelancer. You sell information to people if they're interested in having it. You have a lot of contacts.
Okay,
But
so
you're mostly you're mostly just kind of retired. You actually want to like live in the desert. You kind of like it.
interesting. So then, if this is the, I'll just like casually glance from time to time with my binoculars at the glider facility and see if anything new happens. But besides that, I will just enjoy the view and stick around.
As you sit up there, at one point, it almost seems like something brown or leathery slips across the edge of your vision again.
What? What
and
is
it almost
that?
looks like it almost looks like it goes off the edge.
Off the edge. So like,
Uh-huh.
goes like this, like in
Yeah,
the back.
like in the edge of your vision, it's almost like something like falls off the edge of the pinnacle.
Interesting. I look down the pinnacle.
You see a rock that's sort of jutting out, and it's exactly the same color that you think you saw. So you're not sure. Maybe it was just like a trick of the light, and you actually saw like something. Like you actually just saw the rock off the edge, and maybe it looked like it was moving. Strange sensation in your head.
I'll look down. I look in with my binoculars. Is anything happening in the glider facility?
No, it looks like they're closing up for the day.
Okay, then I'll definitely go down and inspect this unusual rock. At second glance, is it still there?
Yeah, the rock's still there.
I
It's the
go
same
down and look at it a bit from a couple of angles.
It's a rock.
I poke at it with my... I don't poke at it, I feel it, like with the hand.
It feels like a rock.
Just imagination, I guess. Well, the sun can do bad things to you, and I tie a watery like piece of cloth to my forehead, because that's what you do when you're not used to the sun in the desert.
As you do that, someone comes up, or you hear behind you someone bellow, "Talant!" in a cheerful, lusty voice.
Is Tourant my name?
Yes.
Tourant. Yeah. Do I recognize
Don't know
the
me?
person?
Well, I dare say 10 years is a long time, and the California desert ain't exactly the Chinese rice fields. How's stuff? Still loaded down with secrets for sale?
I smile at him warmly, and I greet him with one hand. Do I remember his name?
Yeah. So now you recognize him. He's in a prospector getup, which had you fooled for a second, but you remember his name is Morgan.
Oh, Morgan. Hello. Yes, business is going as usual. Why are you here?
Just having my little joke. Of course, you wouldn't have no serious reason for mountain climbing around a glider school now, would you? And you'd kind of need field glasses to keep an eye on the pretty birdies.
Well now. I'm just sightseeing. What are you doing here?
Uh-huh. You're always in it for your health, right? Come to think of it, my own health ain't been none too good lately. I've got me a little cabin way to hell and gone around here, and I do me a little prospecting now and then. And somehow it just strikes me, Talant, that maybe I hit a pretty good load today.
Interesting. Would it be something I'm interested in?
In a manner of speaking, I try to tell any of them army men out of the field of some of the stories I know about China, and the kind of men I used to know out there. Wouldn't cotton them stories a bit, the army wouldn't. But if I was to drink too many and get talkative like...
So, would you like to join me for a drink?
Yeah. So you remember little details. You remember that he actually really likes rum.
Okay, do you have rum at my home? or at my place?
You could buy rum in town.
Okay, good. So we go around town. We pick up some rum. I pick up some.
You offer him rum.
I mean, I'm guessing that we pick it. Or do we just go at a bar and start drinking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
good.
he mentions how expensive rum is these days, and how he can't quite afford it as much as he used to.
Well, now I drink for an old friend, in honor of better times.
Hmm.
So, he says, tell me more.
He's actually not certain about this. He decides, tell you what, why don't you just come by my place with some rum later, and we can talk then. You can find it easily. It's over by the Oasis, and we may be able to talk about some prospecting too.
If you say so, Morgan. Yeah, that would be a great pleasure for me. Do you want me to bring anything else? A bite to eat, maybe?
He looks at you very suspiciously. No.
I smile at him and I shake his hand. If I offer to shake his hand.
He just walks off.
See you later. I will try though. It's something I want to do. Can I do an insight check on this guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a 1d20 minus 2, but maybe something works good. 15. So,
Wow.
Yep. What do I get?
He's not really trying to deceive you in any way. He's someone you knew from a long time back.
I'm not necessarily going for a lie or not. I'm just kind of like figuring out, is this normal him or is he on the edge?
It's normal him. He's always been kind of a bum. He's always been kind of lazy. He's always been willing to take advantage of people if he thought he could get away with it. Just to always out to make a buck for himself.
Got it. So I'll buy.
So if he can blackmail you into giving him some some free booze or whatnot, he'll be all over that.
I'll buy the smallest bottle of rum I can find. So it's like maybe like a quarter of a liter, just like a small flask of rum.
Okay. So if you want to buy some rum, you have to go to. It's not actually. There's not like a store for rum. There's actually only a bar, but you could go there and buy a bottle if you.
Yeah, I was expecting we're already at the bar, because we said that we were going at the bar.
Well, yeah, he said he'd rather meet up with you later though.
No, definitely, I'll go at the bar and.
But if you want to go buy rum, you have to go to the bar.
Yeah, I'll go at the bar. I'll grab myself something to eat. I imagine that I haven't eaten in a bit. Only drink some water. And
the bartender looks at you really funny when you order water.
Well,
I bet you want that in a glass too.
Smile, I nod. Do you want a bottle of rum as well?
The bartender walks away muttering, "Tourists."
All of them are the same.
He brings you back your bottle of rum.
Okay, my water and my food.
Yeah, and you see some other people in the bar sitting at the counter. There's a red-eyed, unshaven old man, who you know is the flight sergeant at the glider school. And he's drinking just a Coke. There's a young man with a long, dirty trench coat and a pipe, and a new-looking sort of brown beard, and it's just very, very odd.
Have I ever talked or seen the? I think I've seen, but have I ever talked to the flight school sergeant?
You've seen him. You have not talked to him.
Okay, so seeing that he's drinking a Coke, I will. Is the seat next to him available?
Yeah.
Good. I'll take a seat next to him, and kind of not necessarily like, you know how you do it with like you do this with somebody that's drinking a beer before you drink it.
Okay.
Okay, good. That's basically my motioning, but I'm not actually gonna do it. I'm gonna do that, and I say, well, they don't really like people who don't order alcohol, do they now?
You say that to the guy who's drinking?
Yeah, he's gonna do a Coke.
You're not from around here, are you?
She said, just got in town a couple of days ago. Pretty place, to be honest. Always liked the deserts.
They don't allow the army men to drink.
Oh, now, but and
Believe me, I'd be a lot happier if I could have a beer.
I flash, but if you can't buy one, I'm guessing I could.
You're just gonna rub it in? Of course you could.
Well,
Schmuck.
I could buy 2. One for a friend, and I could definitely we go outside, drink one with a friend, or somebody who's willing to share a drink with me, and maybe a good story.
Yeah. Maybe there's a place in the back where no one will see it. I'll meet you back there.
I nod my head and say, "Hey, fella," and to the bartender, 2 beers, your finest.
Okay. The bartender looks at you a little suspiciously, serves you up 2 beers. It's like, first he wants water, now he wants 2 beers. Shh, tourists.
And I take my beer and casually walk in the back.
The sergeant's there. He's just sort of waiting. He looks at you really suspiciously now that you've actually come back with the beer.
Okay, and I give him the beer and I say, as I knock his bottle with mine and take a sip. What? People that offer a drink don't often come back with a drink? That's rather a unpleasant social life.
It's the desert. There's nothing really pleasant out here.
Oh, come on.
No
The
one
view's
actually
amazing.
wants to be here.
Say, so, what are you doing here if you don't like it so much?
Sinus infection. Doctor recommended it. Said I'd get better.
Well, if
Everyone's here for their health, but no one actually wants to be here.
if you say so. I've heard a lot of people say that, but after a beer of 2, they're here for another reason. All of them are.
If you say so. And he starts drinking his beer.
Continue on drinking my beer. Do I have cigars on me?
He drinks it in like quick gulps, and sometimes he frowns at it, and he's like about to say a sentence, but then he just like wipes the beer away from his lips and keeps drinking.
Do I have like 2 small Could I have read Candace and said I nicked 2 small little glasses from the table? Or a table?
It's not that kind of bar.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so if he...
They don't have... like, glasses are a special thing that they break out only if people ask for them.
So, he finishes his beer quite fastly. Do I get anything out of him? Does he say anything?
He looks at you. And he says one thing. It's maybe a little bit odd, but you know what he's talking about. You wasn't aiming to stay in the Adobe, was you?
I could not understand. Can you repeat?
You wasn't aiming to stay in the Adobe, was you? So the Adobe is this little broken down... It was like a full Adobe building on the edge of town. A lot of campers spend their time there, apparently. You'd be familiar with it if you've been in the area for like a little while.
Okay.
But it's pretty broken down. It's like almost completely falling apart.
No, maybe. Just here to see the sights, really. And after he finishes,
you do have a
his...
tent, for the record.
Okay, good. When he finishes his beer, I take out the little bottle of rum.
Well, he has a response.
Yeah, gone.
That's all right then, maybe. But don't go poking around that there Adobe.
Got it, mate. Thanks for the advice.
And
when he finishes his beer, I take out a small bottle of rum and I say, "Want something extra for the road? Quick gulp or 2?"
No,
Oh, come on. No one would know.
I don't think I should. I think that's a bad idea.
Are you sure? It smells very good, and it's quite expensive here. I wouldn't want to drink it myself. It's a waste.
Oh, it would be, but I don't think that's a good idea, you know. In
I
the
kinda
desert, you gotta
halfway-
keep your mind at least half clear.
I kind of halfway push it to him, but if he really is vehemently against it, I won't insist anymore.
Okay.
Okay, so I say, I'll be seeing you around. Good.
Yeah, he takes off.
I take off towards my friend Morgan, and I make a mental note. Go to the Adobe.
Okay.
Okay, but I think Morgan has waited long enough.
So you go to Morgan's place.
I will try and get a sandwich on the way though. Pretty hungry.
Okay. Yeah, you can grab some food. It's totally fine.
Good. I grab some food and I go to Morgan.
Okay. Just skipping all over town here.
Exactly.
All right. So you go to Morgan's place. Morgan's there. Totally fine. He lets you in once he sees you brought the rum. He's like, ah, yeah, this is just perfect. Couldn't have a better night.
Good to hear it. Come, let's talk.
And he, you know.
Yeah, I go
Pours himself a
inside, I pour him a drink, I pour myself a drink, I knock with his glass and I say, after a couple of sips, so, what's been going on?
Not a lot, just living in the desert. Hearing strange rumors about the desert. Prospecting in the desert. Nothing like what happened in China.
I smile, and I say, what about the strange rumors? What have you been hearing?
Just strange. Almost a local legend, I think. Sometimes you glimpse things out of the corner of your eye. Lean, dry things.
Can't say I've heard that one. Ever happened to you? As I say, you're laughing a bit.
No, but if you get people drunk enough, they can't shut up about them. And
Oh,
they say that they bite.
interesting.
Some people call them carkers, after you know.
Yeah, I got it. So,
Do you actually know?
no, I have no idea. I just say that.
Okay. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
Shake my head. No, I don't.
Ever hear of Sawney Bean? Scotland, reign of James I, or maybe the 6th. Though I think Roughhead's wrong on that for once. But let's be more modern. Ever hear of the Benders? Kansas in the 1870s? No? Ever hear of Procrustes or Polyphemus or Fee Fi Fo Fum?
What are you
They're
spouting?
ogres, you know. He's pretty drunk at this point. They're no legend. They're fact, they are. The inn where 9 guests left for every 10 that arrived. The mountain cabin that sheltered travelers from the snow. Sheltered them all winter till the melting spring uncovered their bones. The lonely stretches of road that so many passengers traveled halfway. You'll find them everywhere. All over Europe and pretty much in this country too before communications became what they are. Profitable business. And it wasn't just the profit. The Benders made money, sure, but that wasn't why they killed all their victims as carefully as a kosher butcher. Sawney Bean got so he didn't give a damn about the profit. He just needed to lay in more meat for the winter. And think of the chances you'd have it in an oasis.
That's a pretty nasty legend, that is.
It's not legends, it's just human nature. Or maybe other nature.
Well, nothing human about it, in my opinion, though.
What do you know?
You know a bit about humans. Still, tell me about your prospecting. You've said you have a couple of interesting things about it.
Nothing worth mining in this desert. I just dig to keep the boredom at bay.
Well, I mean, there are always better things you could do with your time.
Yeah.
Do you
At
wanna-
this point.
Do you wanna keep the edge of the boredom tonight? I've heard a couple of interesting rumors tonight. I'd like to give them a look. You can join me if you want.
I'm not going anywhere at night in the desert.
Oh, come on. Don't tell me that you believe an ogre will come behind you and gobble up your ass and your face with it.
I'm telling you. There's stuff out in the desert that bites. I'm not going anywhere.
Oh. Do I have any weapons or something?
You have your hands.
No,
I'll say you
literally-
have you have a like a machete maybe, just for general use, like cutting breaking down firewood and stuff, and a small handgun.
Okay, I say whatever bites can feel a bite. And I kind of finger my machete a bit. I don't think it's good. It's more powerful than steel. Come on. You know you want to. Boarding, you said? Well, I'll give you some interesting things tonight. I hope so, at least. We might not find anything, and yet we might find a treasure. Who knows? What people are scared of usually brings a lot of profit for those ballsy enough to go and get it.
At the word treasure, his eyes go a little big, and he's like, what the hell? I'm probably gonna be dead soon anyway.
I smile. And I say, come on, get a little bit of teeth with you, and let's get going. And by teeth, I can like thrash the machete a bit.
Alright.
Okay, and I tell him about the conversation that I had with the sergeant, and I make sure to not mention the sergeant as being the sergeant or anybody important, just a random guy I met in the bar and drank a beer with.
Okay. Well, he's been here for a while. He's familiar with the Adobe. He knows people don't usually go there.
Okay, and I say, come on, let's find out why people don't go there, and maybe who knows, find some interesting route to it. And I smile. I'm a pretty curious person by nature. It seems that's my character.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to the Adobe.
Okay.
Care to
You
describe
get-
to me the
Yeah, you get there without any problems. So it's very much part of the roof is caved in, but it's much bigger than you thought it would be. Maybe like it has several small rooms. It's overall maybe 40 feet by 50 feet. And it's a square.
do I have a torch? And the torch and the idea of a
You have a
flashlight.
flashlight.
Yeah, torch, flashlight. It's
Yeah.
okay.
When you say torch, and I'm thinking about D&D, I think
I know,
about like a
I
fire
know.
on a stick.
I take out my torch and I say, so, wanna leave it to Lady Luck, or do you wanna decide up or down?
Well, it's wait, up or down?
I'm thinking there's a basement to it.
No, there's no basement. It's there's no floor actually, or no flooring. It's just earth, just hard earth.
Oh, so it's basically a big city with a lot of.
It's more like a big building. Well,
Okay.
big by Adobe standards.
Got it. So I mean, I take out my flashlight. I motion him to do the same thing. I kind of lighten my machete and its whatever sheet it is in,
Sheath.
and make sure I have a quick grab for my gun if I need be.
Okay.
Okay, and then we start exploring the Adobe.
So it has furniture in it. The furniture is strangely crude and heavy, and also somewhat small. Like it's designed for people who aren't quite human sized. It's held together with wooden pegs, half-rotted thongs. There's a fireplace with old ashes in it, and dusty shards of cooking jar. There's a deeply hollowed stone covered
Deeply
with
hollowed stone.
covered with some stains that look almost like rust, but stone doesn't rust.
I'll try and inspect the stone. I wanna see if it's really stone, or maybe a very big block of iron that's been made to look like a stone.
Okay. Just roll a 1d20.
Done. And I will motion if I find nothing, I'll ask of Morgan's opinion on this.
Morgan's a little drunk. He's like, "That's a rock, you moron. It's a rock. R-O."
I whisper in his ear. Rock, stone, rust.
It's red rock. It was a desert. There's all sorts of red things in the desert. You got your red sandstone. You got your red sunsets. You got your red people.
You know what I'm gonna do?
He thinks that's really hilarious. And he like falls down.
I'm gonna take the machete. I'm gonna scrape a bit of the red part out, bring it up to my nose, and try and smell it, because rust has a certain smell, a certain irony smell to it.
It does. It smells a little irony. It doesn't really remind you of rust. And as you're doing that, you notice that a little ways off from the rock, like up against the wall next to the fireplace, there's a perfect little mummy.
Mummy? Like literally a mummy?
Like literally a mummy. Like a mummified body. And
have we
and
seen
you had
it
noticed
before?
it before because it's either like a strangely shrunken person, or it started out as the body of like maybe a 10-year-old boy. There's no flesh. It's only skin and bone, taut, dry stretches of tendon. The eyes are closed. The sockets looked hollow under them. The nose is sunken and almost completely gone. There's scant sort of like lips, and the skin is like a deep brown.
I poke Morgan kind of seriously and say, "Shh, we've got something." Keep my back, and I go to the body and try and inspect it closer to see if I can find something that I have missed, and inspect around it as well.
Roll a perception check. Oh, there's nothing there. You don't notice anything at all.
This is where I broke in the story, and nothing is gonna go on. And you know.
No, it's fine. Let's see how the drunk guy does. So we're gonna roll. So the drunk guy who rolled with disadvantage, starts gibbering a little bit, and he points at the skeleton. He's like, "Chest moved."
I jump a bit and look at it with half interest and half fright.
If you look at it carefully, and it's actually almost seems like it's breathing.
Can't be breathing. This is dead. And I take out my machete in my left hand, in my right hand, sorry, and I poke it with my left finger, just a tiny bit, to see if it reacts in any way.
It bites you.
It
gets a good lock on your finger.
I stab at it.
Right. Let's see. It actually misses your finger.
Misses it. I stab at it. Do I have a advantage?
Well, no, it's not surprised, and it's actually like a hard target because it's small. So roll an attack check, and we'll say you have a proficiency with your machete.
So my strength is what, 14, I think. So plus 4 in total. Oh, that was.
Well, 4 is definitely a miss.
Not what I intended to do. 13?
I'll say a 13's a hit.
Okay.
Machete's probably like, what, a 1d6?
Okay, good. So let's roll that 1d6. Let's see how much. 5 points of damage.
So you like lop off one of its desiccated arms, and it looks at you with completely empty eye sockets, and it's just, you can tell that it's just incredibly angry at you.
Okay, so I'm guessing Morgan, get this creature off me.
So Morgan's So Morgan does not freak out and run, despite his drunken state.
Morgan is actually very courageous right now.
Yeah, Morgan's like great. He literally jumps on the monster. He's like, I'll just overbear it with my weight, my little tubby belly, and he somehow managed to like pin the little tiny mummified child underneath him.
Okay, so in my turn, I'm gonna try and basically.
The mummy gets a turn.
Oh yeah, the mummy. Yeah.
So it's gonna go for another bite attack, which hits successfully, and he actually ends up biting off Morgan's hand.
Oh shit. Okay.
And he like, he takes the hand and he like tosses it onto the rock where like the rusted rock, and it occurs to you now that clearly that's where they like pour out the blood of their victims, and the rock starts to sort of glow faintly.
I take
Now
out
it's your
my gun and shoot it in the head.
You shoot the freaky mummy in the head.
Yes.
Roll a dex attack.
Actually, in the chest. I think it's chest move. I'm gonna shoot it in the chest.
Okay. Roll a dex attack.
I don't have a dex. I think. One sec. By dex? Oh no, it's just normal. Do I have a proficiency with it?
Yeah, you have a proficiency with your own gun. That seems fair.
13.
So you successfully managed to shoot the thing in the chest. Roll like a 1d12 for damage.
10 points of damage.
So its chest disintegrates, and like only its head is still moving, but its head is still trying to bite Morgan.
I tell Morgan. Wait, did he actually like, beat off his whole hand or just a finger?
It bit off his whole hand.
Oh shit! I say, Morgan, get away! Get something on that wound so you don't bleed out.
Okay, so at the start of every one of Morgan's turns, he has to roll a con saving throw. DC 12, no bonus. That's a pass.
Awesome, good.
So he stands up and stomps on the head, and he misses.
Okay, the creature's turn.
So the head is still like on the ground trying to bite his shoe.
One thing, we have already passed the 1 hour mark. Do you think we can finish this in
Oh yeah, we're like two paragraphs from the end of the story.
Oh, okay, good. So yeah, let's continue on. So yeah, I mean, the creature's turn.
It's the creature's turn. So as your roll a perception check.
Okay. Finally.
Okay, so as you're staring at the skull, which is going to make an attack on Morgan's foot, which it's going to miss. It fails to like adhere its teeth into it. So you hear behind you at the entrance to the adobe that same sort of brittle whistling skin on sand sound that you heard when this one started moving.
I quickly say to Morgan, "Let's get out of here. More of them coming."
And you turn around. You can turn around and look at it, but it gets a turn on you. But you're not surprised. But it goes for Morgan because he's already bleeding, and it manages to almost like it's strange. It like runs into Morgan, and somehow Morgan perfectly falls so that his severed like hand is over the rock, and he's now bleeding profusely into the rock, and the little monster's like pushing the blood out of his arm onto
Okay.
the rock as rapidly as it can.
So I'm gonna go at it, and I'm gonna impale it, head to like body, with my machete.
Okay.
Okay. Do I get an advantage on that because
Yeah, it's not really paying attention to you. And this one almost seems female.
Interesting. So a natural 20. 2d6 plus 2, yeah. 8 points of damage.
Alright, so its body sort of falls into the pool of blood that has been developing in this rock. And it's not moving, but it almost seems like it's plumping up.
I'm gonna kick it fastly.
Like,
I'm gonna
like
kick
it's
it fastly.
absorbing the blood.
Yeah, I'm kicking it fastly off the blood.
Okay.
Okay, good. I think it's the small creature. I mean, it can't move. The head that's there can't move, can it?
No, it can't. It can just sort of bite.
Okay, so I'm gonna definitely try and heal Morgan's wound as much as I can. Get some bandages over it, and so on.
Okay. It's strange. Morgan's like passed out. You didn't think he'd lost that much blood, but he is like fading fast. It doesn't seem like he's gonna make it.
Damn it! At least I could try it. I take out
Yeah.
my water flask and I pour it over the stone in a way to get away all the blood on it.
It's sort of like the blood is starting to clot. It sort of like mixes in with the water. It's
Scrub it with a machete.
sort of like roiling. It looks really sort of bizarre. And you destroyed the head, right?
Yeah, I destroyed both the heads.
Okay.
Okay, so I try and get the blood away from that, and then I try and and tend the wound of Morgan's.
Let's see if Morgan makes it. Yeah, Morgan's at least like conscious. He'll probably need medical attention like in the next couple of hours in order to live.
Okay, I say, well, you're right about the things that bite. Huh, interesting. I say to him, and then I start, oh, you'll make it a couple more hours without help. And I'm going to make sure that he's not bleeding anymore and search around this room.
There's
Especially the
nothing
rock.
else. It seems like it was just the two of them. You don't see any of the other little like things out of the corner of your eye moving around. And as you're poking around, the sun actually starts to rise. And as the sun hits the rock through like the holes in the roof, the blood sort of boils away, and all that's left is those same faded sort of red marks, and the bodies disintegrate into dust.
I put a hand on the stone as the sun hits it.
It feels freakishly warm, like almost like blood warm, and there's like a pulse.
Interesting, I say. I get Morgan to medical attention. I carry his body into town, leave him off at the hospital,
Okay.
and then I go back to Morgan's house and get a sledgehammer. Or a pick, or an iron pick.
Yeah, he'd have a pick. He'd actually have a hammer too.
I get both of them. I get both of them. I go back to Adobe, and I go into that room.
Okay.
I take the sledgehammer and I start pounding at the stone.
So it cracks open on the first hit, and it almost seems this black, like oozing liquid erupts out of it and like drenches you and the entire room. And it smells horrible. And it's like this old clotted mass of blood that's only barely liquid and is just sort of going everywhere.
Okay, so I basically I take my water bottle out, splash something on my face to like, get it out of my face at least, and try and look where I like inside of the stone if there's anything more in there.
No, you can't even like see the bottom. It's just this mass of disgusting blood clots. And it seems like it goes down for a long, long way.
I will I'll definitely so I'll go back. I'll wash up. I'll get dressed again. And what I'm gonna do for the next couple of days, like that, this is my plan right now. I'm going to start up some rumors about this, so I get people interested in people seeing that. And
Okay.
I'm gonna inspect the rest of Adobe.
You don't find anything particularly interesting. You find more of that crude, unfinished furniture that's clearly meant for people who are about the size of the monsters you fought. You see some spots where it looks like the roof caving in wasn't necessarily natural. Maybe it was like a trap where they intentionally weakened the ceiling to push it onto people. You do find a couple of other like obvious traps that are meant for bigger people. So
Interesting.
it seems like this was some sort of strange hunting ground for the monsters.
So how are people reacting to that pool of blood I cracked open?
They don't like it. I mean, the Adobe wasn't really a popular spot to hang out in before, and now people are just like, it's haunted. The devil himself came up through the rock.
Okay, and I'll definitely set word to my contacts that I found something that well, it might be worth a lot of money.
So you managed to sell this information to someone from probably New York who's like really into the occult, and you managed to retire off the savings anywhere you want. That's probably not a desert.
Good, not a desert.
And you live happily ever after.
So, what was the story name?
The story name is They Bite by Anthony Boucher.
Interesting. And what was the intended storyline at first?
The intended storyline was that you took Morgan to the Adobe to murder him and dispose of the body.
Why would I do that?
Because you were afraid that he wouldn't be happy with just blackmailing you for free booze. He'd eventually try and get more money by revealing who you used to be. And you were going to bury the body there. And you ended up dying to the little monsters.
Interesting. So that took a very different turn.
Yeah, in the sense that you managed to live.
Awesome. That was a awesome story. Liked it. Loved it. And
it's a really good short story. I highly encourage you guys to read it. It is available online, so
go read it. Can you repeat the title and the author again?
Yeah, it's They Bite. I'll actually type it in chat too.
Awesome, good. So this has been Pinball Storytellers, episode number 3. It's been an awesome episode. I've talked already about the formats we'll be using, so definitely that's kind of the go-to when we talk about formats before a show. And as always, we'll take just a minute or two break and then come with Storytellers Talk to Twitch, and we'll talk to you guys about the show overall, this episode, and so on. So see you guys in a minute or so for more. But before that, do you want to say anything, Justin?
No. You guys can check me out at Cavalier Guest on Twitch if you aren't familiar with my channel. I stream mostly Hearthstone decks. Still making my first. I'm like just into my second month of streaming, so I still have a lot of stuff that I'm working on. But hopefully you guys check me out and enjoy it. And I hope you guys had fun watching Pinball Storytellers.
Awesome, good. So we'll take a small break and then we'll be coming back with Storytellers Talk to Twitch. Be right back. Don't go anywhere.